In the previous videos, we have learned two things. We have learned that the ratio of the frequencies of any two notes is always the same. For example, if I go from C and then 1, 2, 3, 4 notes up to E, that's a 5 to 4 ratio. But if I begin at D and go 1, 2, 3, 4 notes up, that's also a 5 to 4 ratio. So anywhere up and down the keyboard, if two notes are separated by 4 notes in between them, then we'll get a 5 to 4 ratio, sometimes known as a perfect fifth. So the other thing that we learned is that combinations of keys that have lower ratios have harmonics that align and therefore sound more harmonious. So for example, from C to G gives us a 3 to 2 ratio, or from C to C gives us a 2 to 1 ratio. So the 2 to 1 ratio and the 3 to 2 ratio and the 5 to 4 ratio all sound harmonious because the harmonics align. However, if we go from C to C sharp, we get a 25 to 24 ratio, which sounds more dissonant. Same from F to F sharp. E to F will always be a 25 to 24 ratio and therefore be less harmonious. So that brings us to the second topic, which is how we might select subgroups within the 12-note scale that sound particularly good together. The major scales consist of the 7 notes that are judged to be particularly harmonious in combination with one another. So each major scale is named by the beginning note, the lowest note in the scale. So C major scale begins with C and also includes D. So C to D gives us a 9 to 8 ratio. It also includes E, and C to E gives us a 5 to 4 ratio. It includes F, which gives us a 4 to 3 ratio. It includes G, which gives us a 3 to 2, and so on. C to A, 9 to 5, and C to D, 15 to 8, which not quite as good, but these 7 notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, constitute the C major scale. Now, if we slide down the keyboard, you'll note that for the C major scale, we've picked the first, and then the third, and then the fifth keys. And then we go on and pick the 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th keys. So the first 3 keys, separated by the 2 black keys, are odd numbers, 1, 3, 5. And the next 4 keys, separated by 3 more black keys, are even numbers, 6, 8, 10, 12. And this 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 combination is true for any scale on the major scales. And there are 12 major scales, 1 for each note. So the D major scale starts with D, and then if I go 1, 2, 3, then I get F, and so on. And we can pull out these scales so that any combination beginning with any key that takes the first, third, fifth, 6th, 8th, 10th, 12th keys then becomes a major scale. And these scales are put together because they're judged to be harmonious. Once you pick the first scale of the keys that are judged to be the most harmonious together, all the other scales follow because the ratios for those scales will be the same as well. So that's how the major scales are formed and why they're formed in the way that they are put together. They're put together to generate combinations of keys that have low whole number ratios in combination with one another to make sure the harmonics align more closely, which in turn makes them sound more harmonious. There are many other kinds of scales, but the major scales are a good starting place to think about creating music because of their capacity to create melodies that sound good if you draw from within this combination of notes.